Okay, let's try not to do that again because that's kind of annoying. So, the first time started the stream, I shut it down on my own accord because the comment section was not working. Then started the stream back up and it was going fine. And we're just talking, showing off the new studio. And what happens? I unplug the PlayStation just now. No, seriously. It just because I'm the camera cord is so short that I actually had to. Hey, good morning. I had to move the PlayStation out further so I can get more extension on the PlayStation camera. And when I just barely tapped the PlayStation and the plug popped out, and so now here's a brand new stream for the third time this morning. Got the brown DCs with the cursive writing on it. Oh, the throwbacks is fucking and leather and two types of suede. So this is actually suede, but it's like the smooth soft suede, and this is like the kind of nubuck kind of puffy kind of suede. And then you got the leather here with the nice ass stitching. You know what I'm saying? Then we got the DC socks. Gotta have the DC socks to go with the DC sneakers. The blue and gray with the blue shirt. Yeah, I've had these for a minute, yo. The brown laces. Even got the suede here. Yo, these Jones are hot, yo. And like bruh, for years, yo, these shits are old. I'm not lying. They're old. They're like, ooh, let me see. About 7 years. I had these shits about 7 years, yo. No lie. Bottom still tough. You know what I'm saying? No lean to it. The heel a little bit. The heel going a little bit. But no real lean to it. You still got the fucking print on the bitch right there. After 7 years. Yo, these shits hold up, son. Yo, these shits last. That's why I fuck with the DCs, bro. I probably got like 6 pair, but I done had probably about 10 pair of DCs. Cause they just last so long. They comfortable, they cheap. Motherfuckers cheap as shit. Ha ha, a size 5. Fuck you. Come on, bruh. You just got a small TV, man. That shit say a 9.5 in US, 9.5 in UK, a 8.5. Come on, man. I ain't got no little ass foot like that. I ain't got no big long ass Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant feet neither. I ain't got no little girl feet though. Damn, you got size 5. You got ballerina feet. You a geisha? What the hell? This motherfucker got geisha feet. Nigga say you get size 5. Wow. Got little boy feet, little bitty baby feet. I'm a grown ass man. Motherfucker, I got. You have feet like a dancer. This is a damn. No, not on the bottom. It kind of wraps around, but it don't. There's nothing like really on the bottom of it. It's just the D and the C wraps all the way around the sock. That should go all the way around. But no real. Damn, my floor dirty. I need to vacuum here. But no real logo on the bottom. I got a couple pair of these. I got the white ones with the gray logo, the red ones with the black logo, the gray ones with the blue logo. Then I had the blue ones with the white logo. And I think I had one more, like probably like I had an all white pair and an all black pair. But once again, these motherfuckers last so long. I done had these socks forever, yo. I had these socks. I ain't gonna lie. Probably these pair of socks. I had these socks probably as long as these shoes, if not longer. Yeah, these socks old as hell. These socks about 78 years old. But I try to find shit that just lasts and stay stylish. You know what I'm saying? Something that gonna stick, something I can wear forever until that bitch fall apart. I keep all my clothes until the threads just can no longer hold the fabric together. You know what I'm saying? I like buying new shit and I'll buy new shit every once in a while, but if that shit good quality and it holds up and it's like something so casual, like it doesn't fit a trend. It just looks nice. It's not something that's popular now, and 2 summers from now, motherfuckers will laugh at you if you wear that shit. It's like I just try to find shit that's neat, that's comfortable, that can always look casual, and the quality is gonna fucking last. I got jeans that I got like a couple pair of jeans I've had over 10 years. And I don't see me getting rid of them anytime soon either. Shit, them jeans probably last another 10 years. And that's what I done had an old man tell me, I got a pair of jeans older than you. I was like, what? This was years ago though. I was probably like my late teens or early 20s and saying something, I don't know, trying to act grown or whatever around the old head. And little nigga, man, I got a pair of jeans older than you. I probably got 2 pair of shoes older than you. I was like, damn, now I see what he mean. Cause hell, shit, I'm about to have a pair. I got some shit that's down there older than my son. You know what I'm saying? Shit, my son 14. I got old ass clothes. You couldn't tell that shit though. Gotta take care of that shit. This dude, at least you remember. You know what I'm saying? At least you remember my art was so fantastic and so brilliant and such an amazing concept. He had to come back in here and make sure that shit came out right. Oh, it came out nice. Real nice. It came out so nice, it was on the news. Seriously, it was on the news. I would try to find it, but I don't know, guys. I don't think I told a lot of people that I was on live TV for Kwanzaa at the beginning of the month, and so I actually said something, but I was so nervous, and sober that it just sounded like blah 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 blah. My art, blah blah blah. My art looks nice, blah blah. Like I felt that's what I said, yeah. Oh my God. And so, like the people who the interviewer, the news anchor who interviewed us, and the other people who got interviewed, of course, they're sharing the link all day, and then I come across the link, and like I was the second person to talk on one segment, and so I'm watching it, and the first guy is talking, he's talking, and then as soon as she comes to me, I just turn that shit off. I was like, I don't even want to hear myself. I don't want to watch it just because I'm comfortable here. This is my own space. Y'all my homies. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with y'all. But then it's like, and I didn't, at first, I didn't realize it was going to be live. They were just like, yeah, we're going to have something on the news. I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, we're going live in 2 minutes. I'm like, huh? Like, like live TV. Like right now on the news, she's like, yeah, we're going to come up right after the weather. I paint books for black people. I swear, that's it. It was just like, I like painting smart stuff because I'm smart. Please help me. Oh, this is so funny. I got called a racist. Yo, I got called a racist. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so no, this is how it started, right? Just simple, just my post, and I know my post can be aggressive and like in your face, and that's what I post on my Facebook. So what? That's what I talk about in art and education. We always talk about racism in this room because I'm a black man living in a white man's country. And that's the elephant in the room. And can we change the society? Can we change the status quo? Can we change our culture? Yes, we can. Will it happen overnight? No, it won't. But there must be constant conversations and constant analyzing and critical thinking about how this society is structured and how individuals and groups operate within this society. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And I like to focus on that because I want it to change. I want to educate my children to think highly of themselves, to be forward and critical thinking, and to understand that there are obstacles set up for you and it's by design. So let's not fall into these traps. Let's not be a drug dealer and get all these felonies and just commit crimes, you know what I'm saying? Because it's set up for you to fail like that. You know what I'm saying? And you have to give your child more education than they receive in school. A child who is only educated at school is an uneducated child. And so I constantly post stuff like this. And now we just watched this video yesterday. And so this is when it happens. And so now somebody brought this to my attention. I'm in a circle of individuals and groups who stay alert for stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? And stay watchful and mindful of these things and shine spotlights on it. And so I don't necessarily have to watch the news. Honestly, my social media is pretty good. Just from the people I befriend and the groups I follow, just from using social media as a tool, I can stay pretty up to date on current events. And so, once again, in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is recently became popular for the death of a young lady at a rally that took place last year. So this video is on YouTube. The title of the video, this is not my video. I did not record it. I did not upload it. I did not give this video a title. The title of the video is In Charlottesville, White Man Holds Black Man on Fours Like a Dog at Knife Point for Chicago Crime. In Charlottesville, white man holds black man on fours like a dog at knife point for Chicago crimes. Now, and that's what it's depicting. A white man is holding a knife and he has this black man on all fours like a dog. Right? And so we watched this video yesterday. We were all appalled at this. And we know he's going to get off on some really less charges and all this other stuff. And we analyzed like how the cops came up and walked by the situation. There's a guy standing in front of another guy who's on his knees. The cops walk by that and then have to be rerouted back to the situation, and is like, wow, are you fucking blind? There's a guy on his fucking hands and knees. There is something wrong there. People aren't normally on their hands and knees, but you walked by that, officer. Anyway, so this is the post that I made. And now the comments from Patricia Celesby. Don't really think I've met her in person. She lives in the same area. I guess she frequents some of the art institutes that I go to, the galleries and other places. And normally I don't send friend requests, honestly. And I'm not trying to sound like, high and mighty or I'm too good. Like, I just don't, you know what I'm saying? Because I know the shit that I post, you know what I'm saying? If you're not like some fucking super, super dope ass artist that is inspiring me, and you're constantly producing some work, or you have a large body of work that I'm not aware of and I want to get to know your shit, those, honestly, that's the only kind of people I send a friend request to. And that's far and few in between, because I've been so ingrained in this art for a while. It does take a lot to impress me now. It really does. And even like career artists who are well known and popular, I try not to follow them as much so that I'm not constantly comparing myself to other artists who I know are great. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a great artist because you have made a career out of it. And I like to analyze their works. But I noticed too, like, the more and more I look at certain artists like Kehinde Wiley, I'm obsessed with his stuff. And so I try to stay away from it as much as I can, because when I start looking at his works, I just obsess over it, and I constantly compare myself to him, and we're not the same person. We don't have the same mindset, and so our art isn't going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I've just been working on. Just on a personal level, really not trying to compare myself to other artists who I think are great artists. But what really does inspire me are other artists who are basically in the same position as I am, up and coming artists who are great artists, but everybody doesn't know it yet. You know what I'm saying? So I like to follow these guys' careers, because hopefully I'll see them reach that plateau. Well, now everybody does know that they are a great artist, and I've been here and I've recognized that before the whole world recognized that. And so I like kind of doing that. So as far as sending out friend requests, I don't really send out friend requests. because my personal Facebook page is like extremely pro-black, which doesn't mean it's anti-white. It's just like extremely pro-black. And so I have my art Instagram and my art Facebook page. And if you want to follow me and follow my art, you can surely go there and check out all of my stuff. You don't really have to like befriend me on my personal Facebook page. So once again, I don't send out friend requests. So if you're on my Facebook page, it's probably because you sent me a friend request, and I'm like, well, you know such and such, and I guess, all right, well, and yeah, I guess so, and then I'll let you, check out the shit that I post. So I hate when people get butt hurt over shit that I fucking post. I didn't send you a friend request. You don't even have to say shit to me. Delete me or unfriend me or whatever if you don't like what the fuck I'm posting. So what? You know what I'm saying? Or do you have to be in agreement with me? No. Am I open for a debate on any topic or anything that I post? Sure. If it's going to be constructive, damn right. Let's talk it out. But so I posted this video, Charlottesville white man holds black man on fours at knife point. The first comment, someone says, "What the hell? No way I would have just watched from afar. He could not stab everyone at once. They should have jumped his ass." I was like, right on. Like, well, this motherfucker's just spectating that shit. And so this next comment. Why couldn't the caption be mentally ill man threatens man with knife? This stuff happens all the time. It's happening right now to any race, from any race, or the same race. Travis, you are by far the most racist person I have on my Facebook. It doesn't matter to me if someone is white or black or both or neither. If you don't want to live in a racist world, don't be one, please. Yo. Wait a minute. So let's break this down. First of all, she's mad with the title of the video and blames that on me. Why couldn't the title be mentally ill man holds man at knife point? I don't know. Why couldn't it be that? I don't know. I didn't write the fucking caption for this shit. And so now, just because I posted this video with a title you don't like, showing this, the situation is exactly what the title says. It's a white man with a knife holding a black man hostage on all fours. Someone described the situation exactly. But she says, why couldn't it have been mentally ill man threatens man with knife? First of all, is anyone on the fucking scene or the person who recorded and uploaded and wrote the title to the video, are they some type of qualified physician to know that this man is mentally ill? Of course he's acting fucking crazy, but being mentally ill is a clinical diagnosis from a doctor. Nobody can say what the fuck is wrong with this man. He might just be drunk or high on PCP or fucking smack or crystal meth or whatever. But for some reason, because it's a white man and he's acting out of the norm, you're always going to attribute some type of mental illness. And he can't help it, and he's mentally ill. Shouldn't the video be mentally ill, man? You don't know what the fuck this man's disposition is. And so now this grotesque scene of violence has been captured on video, and it has been given a title that explains what is going on exactly. Because if the man would have got away, if the man with the knife would have got away and the cops came to the scene, the first question they would ask is for a description. Well, can you describe the perpetrator? He was 6'1", about 185, 90 pounds. He was a white Caucasian male between the ages of 30 to 33. Right? Okay, so the title of the video gives a precise description of what is going on. You find that to be a problem. You're already contributing a mental illness to a person without having any clinical diagnosis to give him a scapegoat way of his behavior and his terroristic demeanor. And then because I posted the video on my own personal Facebook page, you're going to call me a racist and say I'm by far the most racist person you have on your Facebook page. And my comment was, you sent me a friend request, LOL. Yo. Now that's not it. So even before I made my comment, because she made two comments on this post before I made the first comment. So she says all of this, and then she says, sigh, okay, I don't know if that was fair, but I don't want to have a double standard, and I've so many arguments with so many racist people in Napa since I've come back here. It's exhausting. Anyway, we should get together and talk about art. It's been a rough couple of years for all of us in the U.S., I think. Sorry about the knee-jerk reaction. Yo! 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 Yo, you're by far the most racist person on my Facebook page. I'm sorry about that. You want to hang out and talk about art? Oh my God. Yo, people are fucking crazy. People are crazy, yo. I've had so many arguments with so many races since I've been back to PA. Is that my fault? Once again, why are you telling me all these problems that you're having in your personal life? Like, I have anything to fucking do with that shit. Anything at all. And then you say, sorry for the knee-jerk reaction. And that's another one of those catchphrases that says, oh, you should let me off the hook. I didn't know. It was just such a quick reaction. Emotional knee-jerk reaction, and I tried to find this fucking monologue of news reels that somebody spliced together, and it was some topic in the media about some politician and his knee-jerk reaction, and you got like 15 different news stations saying the same thing, and da-da-da-da-da, and his knee-jerk reaction, and then you got another news anchor, and da-da-da-da-da, and his knee-jerk reaction, and then she wanted to use the same little catchphrase like, oh, you should let me off the hook. That was a knee-jerk reaction. Get the fuck out of here. You're lame. So lame, it's obvious. Like, you're lame, and you know it. So, she's still on my friends list, but I took snapshots or screenshots of her comments of her calling me racist, and then I made that a post in itself, and now everybody's laughing at it and making funny comments on it. So if you want to look on my page, let's see how many people are fucking laughing at you for your dumbass knee-jerk reaction and calling me a racist on my own page for a video that I didn't even create the title for. Yo. Yo, you want to call me a racist? Oh, we should get together and talk about art. Like, no, let's not do that. No. And then I read her comments, and then so I made a comment on her first post where she called me a racist. Like, you sent me a friend request, LOL. I didn't ask to be your friend. I don't give a fuck what you post on your personal Facebook page. Everybody has social media. I'm not going to agree with everything everybody posts. Even some of my closest, dearest friends and blood relatives, my own fucking blood family. I don't agree with half of their fucking posts. Do I constantly like, oh, that's fucked up? I don't do that shit. Who gives a fuck if I agree with you or not? You know what I'm saying? We're all adults now. You know what I'm saying? Your Facebook post does not put food in my refrigerator. This shit is, it's a great tool and it's good entertainment. And if you want to make a difference in the world, you be that difference. I'm trying so hard to break so many stereotypes and actually accomplishing a lot of them. You know? So show and prove. Don't sit here and tell me I'm fucking racist. If you think there's racist people, you go out and be anti-racist. You go out and preach the same way that Tim Wise does. The same way that what's my other homegirl? I can't think of her name now. And the other lady, Helen. There's plenty of white people who go out and give seminars to white people on let's not be racist. So if you want to change shit, you can change shit if you really want to. You can be an advocate. You can be proactive. You can be productive. But sit here calling me a racist and then apologizing because of a knee-jerk reaction and then asking to hang out and talk about art, like that is not the way to change shit. That just makes me not like you as a person because I see you're fucking wishy-washy. You probably was on a Xanax or 2 glasses of wine or some shit and your real feelings came out and you was one step from calling me something else probably. And then say, oh shit, that's on social media. I better apologize real quick so people don't think I'm racist. Like, no. It's all good though. I thought that was real funny. Just had to share that shit with you guys. Like, got called a racist. Yeah. Do I talk about racism a lot? Yes. All the time. Does that make me racist? No. It does not. I am not racist. There's not a racist bone in my body. I got 2 best friends. One of them is white. This is crazy. I got 2 best friends. Both of them named Brandon. Ain't that some shit? How both of your best friends got the same name? And one of my and we've been friends for so long, and both of them have come to family reunions and gatherings, and they're like my fucking family. And so when I talk to my family, because I talk about them all the time, and I just say white boy or black boy, and that's how we distinguish you. Like, because everybody knows I got 2 best friends named Brandon. And I was like, yeah, I was talking to white boy Brandon the other day. Da 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 da. I was like, yeah, I was talking to black boy Brandon the other day. You know what I'm saying? And that's that love. Like, I can't even imagine like what it feels like to be racist. I got so many white people in my family. You know what I'm saying? I'm in an interracial relationship. But I'm racist, right? That makes me, because I talk about it. Because I shine a light on that shit and make people aware that all of us are fucking brainwashed. All of us. Black people especially, but white people just as bad. It's just you're brainwashed in a different way. And that's all it is. And like everybody needs to see the truth so we can teach our kids the real way not to be racist. And understand that it is a racist system and we have to change the system because my 14-year-old son will be 40 one day. And he will be a member of society who votes and has children himself. And he needs to know how to raise his kids properly to see the world for what it is so we can change it and not stay stuck in this bubble of falsehoods and lies and fake history that they feed us for every generation. And now that we do have the internet and we can literally communicate with the world. It's easier. It's easier. We just need to constantly have more discussions and shine light on these issues and just stop it. Just knock it off, white people. Look, man, we can all share all the resources of the world. You know what I'm saying? It can be for everybody. We don't have to keep tearing down all the forests and polluting the oceans and goddamn polluting the skies and keeping people subjugated by class and by religion and by skin color, man. You know what I'm saying? But it'll take hundreds of years for this shit to change. It'll take hundreds, cause it took hundreds of years for this shit to get this way. This shit ain't happened overnight, man. You know what I'm saying? This shit ain't happened overnight. So it won't be in my lifetime. It won't be in my kids' lifetime. But you gotta plant the fucking seed somewhere. That shit got to start some way. And just because I find this shit so interesting, and I constantly talk about these subjects, I'm a racist. You know? Officially 2019, ain't 1874 or 1770. Yeah. It is, you know what I'm saying? But some people are willfully ignorant, you know what I'm saying? Some people are willfully ignorant, and that's not good. Because we have access to information and a deeper understanding, more knowledge.
11,600 years, y'all basically ruled the world. I think it was 500 years where they say the Vikings ruled the world way back then. So basically 11 out of the 12,000 years, black people or melanated people have ruled the world. This is why they keep your history from you. I agree with that. I don't think they want black folks to know how powerful their cultures are, how deep their spiritual beliefs were, but and I think they hold that back from you. But in saying that, we're going to blame the white man today. He's just a new king, and he's only been the king for about a little over 400 years. Under white domination for about 400 years. But who cares who sewed the first flag? Who cares who invented peanut butter? Who cares who the first black man was to pee in a white bathroom? That's shit to keep you down. That's shit to say, yeah, man, like we overcame this. You ain't overcame that because you used to be the power of this planet. You used to rule this planet. You could do it again. You're 90% of the fucking world population. And you're going to tell me 10% keep you down? It's because of mind control. Because of racism. They put racism in white people. They put fear in white people, y'all. You ain't figured that out yet. If any white person does hate you, it's probably because they fear you. Because they know that they're the minority. They know that they're the real minority outside of America. They know they're the real minority outside of Great Britain. And they're the real minority outside of Australia. 10% of the population and 90% sits back and tells how they've been oppressed. Wow. Fucking wow.
That's the kind of shit I post on. Now that's on my Facebook. But that's the kind of shit I post on my Facebook. So if you think that's racist, you know what I'm saying? It's not just black people saying the shit. White people say the same shit. White people know that shit too. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, what? It's like, I don't know. Then don't be my damn Facebook friend. That's all I got to say. Don't be my damn Facebook friend then. Or take me off of Facebook. Cause I don't call nobody names on Facebook. I don't call nobody stupid or ignorant or dumb or retarded or that's name calling is childish. If you have a point to make your point. Now, once again, if she would have had made a valid point on how I am racist by posting that, like I said, you said that you had a problem with the way the title was worded. I didn't write that shit. I didn't write that shit. So what is what point are you trying to make? Where is the correlation to me being racist? So once again, if you don't like that shit, just don't befriend me on Facebook. Simple. That took up a long time explaining that. I'm not racist, guys. I'm really not. Honestly.
October 7th, 2016 marks the 15th anniversary of the invasion and occupation of Afghanistan by US-led NATO forces. 15 years since the bombs began raining down on the country. 15 years of drone strikes and civilian massacres, detainees and prison torture, insurgency and bombings, warlords and drug lords and CIA kickbacks. Years of death. Years of destruction. Still, like a decades-long nightmare, it continues.
I'm announcing an additional adjustment to our posture. Instead of going down to 5,500 troops by the end of this year, the United States will maintain approximately 8,400 troops in Afghanistan into next year through the end of my administration. The narrow missions assigned to our forces will not change. They remain focused on supporting Afghan forces and going after terrorists. But maintaining our forces at this specific level, based on our...
And that's where the brainwashing comes in, because this is art and education. So sometimes we assume that everybody is as smart as we are. And I know I'm not that smart. You guys are smarter than me. But still, it's like, we know this. We know the U.S. glorifies racism like war. You know what I'm saying? It's like... But some people don't see it, and that is the brainwashing. That's the tactic. You know what I'm saying? It's... I don't know, man. Like, I'm still just stuck on it because, like I say, you didn't even make a real connection to me in the video and racism. How does that make me racist or anything? Okay, so you've seen tons of my posts, and so this one was the straw that broke the camel's back. You didn't even like try to make a correlation to any other thing I've posted in the past or what. And then my art is black as fuck. It's black as fuck. So you call me racist, then you apologize and say, let's hang out and talk about art. So you want to talk about my black art, about my books and my art that says black on black violence, the psychodynamics of black self-annihilation in service of white domination. That's what you want to talk about? Really? Let's talk about my art then. You don't want to talk about art with me, lady. Let's be honest with yourself. You're just trying to cover up your knee-jerk reaction.
The security conditions
that's too good.
Afghan forces
man.
Will allow us to continue to provide tailored support to help Afghan forces continue to improve.
The world was told that the invasion, launched after the invocation of NATO's self-defense treaty, was a response to the false flag events of September 11, 2001.
On September the 12th, the North Atlantic Council met again in response to the appalling attacks perpetrated yesterday against the United States of America. The Council agreed that if it is determined that this attack was directed from abroad against the United States, it shall be regarded as an action covered by Article 5 of the Washington Treaty, which states that an armed attack against one or more of the allies in Europe or in North America shall be considered an attack against them all.
Explanation, like the official narrative of the events of 9/11 itself, was a carefully constructed lie. As Professor Michel Chossudovsky of the Center for Research on Globalization explains, the U.S. government's demand for Osama bin Laden's extradition were proven disingenuous when they repeatedly denied the Taliban's offers to extradite him, and the invasion itself, a major theater operation, was launched impossibly quickly.
What happened is that NATO essentially declared war. It was confirmed subsequently, but it declared war on Afghanistan on the grounds that Afghanistan had attacked America, support of Al-Qaeda. It was extremely tenuous, but in a bitter irony, nobody actually questioned the logic of this decision, and that included trade unions, NGOs, and so on. The other element, which I think is very crucial, is that you do not prepare a large-scale theater war thousands of miles away less than 28 days. That war was prepared before 9/11. And consequently, public opinion was led to believe that this was an act of retribution. Military analysts were mum on the subject. They know the logic and the timing of military projects. Now, the third element, I think, which is very important, is that Afghan government, which the US refers to as the Taliban, approached the US State Department on 2 occasions and said, "We want to have bin Laden extradite the United States to US justice. We will consider and we will discuss it." With that proposal had been turned down by the Bush administration on the grounds, to quote George W. Bush, "We do not negotiate with terrorists," quote unquote. So that in effect, the Afghan war was already in the pipeline. And I think what is also important is that the war in Afghanistan, under the global war on terrorism, which was launched with the war in Afghanistan, sets the stage for a series of wars under the same mandate of going after terrorists. So we have, of course, we have Iraq, then we have Libya, we have Syria, we have Yemen, we also have Pakistan, the drone war, and then we have extension of the global war on terrorism to sub-Saharan Africa, to Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm. The invasion of Afghanistan had been planned well before 9/11, was first revealed by Niaz Naik, the former Foreign Secretary of Pakistan, who told BBC News that he was told by senior American officials in mid-July of 2001 that military action against Afghanistan would go ahead by the middle of October. It was confirmed by Donald Rumsfeld, who told the September 11th Commission hearings in March of 2004 that the first major national security directive of the Bush administration was a plan to combat the Taliban in Afghanistan. Although it was not officially signed until October 25, 2001, nearly 3 weeks after the invasion began, it was in fact drafted in June of that year and was sitting on the president's desk waiting to be signed on September 4th, 2001, 1 full week before 9/11.
Dr. Rice has stated that she asked the National Security Council staff in her first week in office for a new presidential initiative on al-Qaeda. In early March, the staff was directed to craft a more aggressive strategy aimed at eliminating the al-Qaeda threat. The first draft of that approach in the form of a presidential directive was circulated by the NSC staff in June of 2001, and a number of meetings were held that summer at the Deputy Secretary level to address the policy questions involved.
Forget about
such
it.
as relating
What up,
an
bro?
aggressive strategy against Taliban to U.S.-Pakistan relations. By the first week of September, the process had arrived at a strategy that was presented to principals and later became NSPD 9, the President's first major substantive national security decision directive. It was presented for a decision by principals on September 4th, 2001, 7 days before the 11th. Security Decision and Relations. By the first week of September, the process had arrived at a strategy that was presented to principals and later became NSPD-9, the President's first major substantive national security decision directive. It was presented for a decision by
National Security Directive. That's the presidential shit. That's the PDD. That's what they call that shit. So you can look up PDD, what it is, 81.
on September 4th, 2001, 7 days before the 11th, and later signed by the President with minor changes and a preamble to reflect the events of September 11th in October.
So if the plan to invade Afghanistan was not about 9/11, then why were the neocons so eager to take over the country? Major military operation. There were multiple strategic objectives to be achieved. Securing a key transportation corridor from rich Caspian Sea oil and gas reserves has always been one important objective of the Afghanistan war.
Soon after the Taliban came to power in 1996, the administration of Bill Clinton backed a secret plan for a pipeline through Afghanistan from Central Asia, which has vast reserves of oil and gas. The Taliban were offered a generous cut in the deal and secretly invited to Washington and Texas. They were treated royally, taken shopping and flown to tourist attractions like the NASA Space Center and Mount Rushmore. Their tour was so secret that no television news covered it. Most Americans knew nothing. By the time George W. Bush came to power, the link between Al-Qaeda and the Taliban was an embarrassment, and September the 11th gave Bush an opportunity to get rid of them. Today, Afghanistan is run by a regime installed by the Americans, and the pipeline deal is going ahead.
The groundbreaking ceremony of Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India Tapi gas pipeline project was held on Sunday at the ancient city of Mari of Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan President Gabungli Berdimuhamedov, Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari were present at the function. The 25-year-old concept of Tapi has come on ground reality and it will be completed by 2019.
The ancient city of Mari in Turkmenistan witnessed the historic groundbreaking ceremony of the ambitious Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India gas pipeline project, that is Tapi project, that will ensure energy security in South Asia. Vice President Hamid Ansari, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and leaders of Turkmenistan and Afghanistan attended the groundbreaking ceremony. The leaders pushed a button which started the welding process of pipes. The leaders appreciated the $7.6 billion Tapi pipeline project and termed it as an initiative to connect energy-rich Central Asia with energy-starved South Asia for a new dawn of economic engagement through regional connectivity.
By no means the only objective of the invasion. From the monetary perspective, there is as much as $1 trillion of untapped mineral wealth in the country that could make it one of the world's leading mining centers in the coming years. A mineral wealth that has been known about for decades.
We might say Afghanistan hits the jackpot in a sense. A team of U.S. geologists and Pentagon officials discovering vast riches of untapped mineral deposits there. They say it could be worth as much as $1 trillion for that country. A senior military official says that this could turn the war-torn nation into one of the biggest mining centers in the world. It's an astonishing piece of news. Steve Santani is live from Washington. Steve, how was this discovery made, and how could they not have known that it was there?
Well, some people did know. The Soviets apparently made some preliminary maps when they occupied Afghanistan back in the 80s, and those maps recently came to the attention of a Pentagon team which did some high-tech aerial surveillance to discover the extent of this massive potential wealth. And they found that Afghanistan has deposits of iron and copper that could make it a major producer in the world, and deposits of lithium that rival the large reserves in Bolivia. Lithium is used in batteries that power everybody's computers and BlackBerries. General David Petraeus, the CENTCOM commander, said there's stunning potential in that mineral wealth. Martha?
And there is also the fact that the world's lucrative multi-billion-dollar heroin trade sources almost entirely from the country, with up to 90% of the world's opium coming from the record crops that are being diligently protected by U.S. troops.
So here's the question. Why are American troops now helping Afghan farmers grow that opium? Nick Schifrin reports from Afghanistan on a controversial new policy.
In western Kandahar, poppy farmers score, kill, harvest their crop, and the Americans do nothing to stop them. U.S. soldiers greet farmers.
Can you show me which poppy field is yours?
They commiserate with farmers having a bad harvest.
Tell them I'm very sorry for his field this year, and hopefully it's a better harvest next year.
And in one case, they even paid a farmer $1,000 after U.S. and Afghan special forces burned his crop.
If you can come down to the base or on my next visit, I'll make a payment.
This is controversial. The opium trade is the Taliban's main source of funding.
Around here, this poppy isn't only a plant, it's the very basis of the economy here. Poppy grows everywhere in this area, and most of the farmers base their entire income for the entire season on this harvest.
And that's why soldiers ignore and encourage the farmers. If the U.S. burned their crop, farmers would blame the U.S. for their poverty and turn toward the Taliban.
Afghanistan today produces over 90% of the world supply of heroin. And the invasion of Afghanistan at a moment when Afghan government, together with the United Nations, had implemented a far-reaching drug eradication program. In other words, they were eliminating opium and implementing crop substitution with the support of the UN. They were congratulated in the United Nations General Assembly in fall of 2001. And in fact, what the Taliban government achieved was a more than 90% collapse in opium production recorded in let's say in 2001. Now immediately upon the influx of US troops and occupation of Afghanistan, production of opium sprung up to its historical levels and has increased multiple times since then.
Gas pipelines, the mineral extraction, the opium. All of these are factors in the ongoing occupation of Afghanistan years after any pretense of an excuse for NATO's presence evaporated. But there is one factor that has made Afghanistan the target of would-be world rulers for centuries: its location. In 1904, Sir Halfred John Mackinder PC, the director of the London School of Economics, published an essay in the Geographical Journal titled The Geographical Pivot of History. In that essay, Mackinder laid out the Heartland Theory, a theory that would come to dominate foreign policy and geostrategic thought. The Heartland Theory holds that the Earth's surface can be divided into a world island, the offshore islands, and the outlying islands. The heartland lay at the center of the world island and the Eurasian landmass, and its importance was summarized in Mackinder's famous dictum, "Who rules East Europe commands the heartland. Who rules the heartland commands the world island. Who rules the world island commands the world. This is why control of the Central Asian region, and Afghanistan in particular, has been prized by empire since the 19th century, when Britain and Russia engaged in diplomatic struggle, intelligence operations, military conflicts, and subterfuge for control over Afghanistan in what was called the Great Game. And this is why former National Security Advisor and perennial Washington insider Zbigniew Brzezinski was able to predict in his 1997 magnum opus, The Grand Chessboard, that the first major war of the 21st century would take place in Afghanistan.
But fast forward to 1997, and in that year our old friend Zbigniew Brzezinski released his book, The Grand Chessboard, American Primacy and Its Geostrategic Imperatives. Because evidently Zbigniew Brzezinski was not so shy about proclaiming the quest for world domination. He also did not mince his words about the Eurasian heartland and how important it is to America's global primacy. For America, the chief geopolitical prize is Eurasia. For half a millennium, world affairs were dominated by Eurasian powers and peoples who fought with one another for regional domination and reached out for global power. Now, a non-Eurasian power is preeminent in Eurasia, and America's global primacy is directly dependent on how long and how effectively its preponderance on the Eurasian continent is sustained. He goes on to refine Mackinder's heartland notion down to a specific area that he calls the Eurasian Balkans. And this area is precisely the Central Asia Caucasus region. He explains its importance thusly. The Eurasian Balkans, astride the inevitably emerging transportation network meant to link more directly Eurasia's richest and most industrious western and eastern extremities, are also geopolitically significant. Moreover, they are of importance from the standpoint of security and historical ambitions to at least three of their most immediate and more powerful neighbors, namely Russia, Turkey, and Iran, with China also signaling an increasing political interest in the region. But the Eurasian Balkans are infinitely more important as a potential economic prize. An enormous concentration of natural gas and oil reserves is located in the region, in addition to important minerals, including gold. The use of the metaphor of the Balkans is doubly evocative for students of history. It represents not only the strife and ethnic conflict we saw in the Balkanization of Yugoslavia at the end of the 20th century, but also the powder keg of tensions that ignited the First World War at the beginning of the 20th century. Subsequently, Brzezinski predicted that the first Great War of the 21st century would take place in this Eurasian Balkans region, and lo and behold, 4 years after the Grand Chessboard was published, the first Great War of the 21st century was being waged in Afghanistan by the United States and its NATO allies. Meet the new Great Game, same as the old Great Game. This time, it's NATO against China, Russia, and what might loosely be termed a resistance bloc. But the idea is almost the same. Dominate Central Asia Caucasus and use it as a pivot point to dominate the world.
Brzezinski had no crystal ball. Know that the neocons would be in office in 2001. He had not seen NSPD-9. He did not know how 9/11 would be used as the fig leaf to cover the naked ambition of NATO's land grab. But he did understand the geostrategic imperatives of world empires, and he knew that control over Central Asia was crucial to control over the world. NATO's Afghanistan toehold, the US hegemon would have no chance of countering China and Russia in the new Great Game of the 21st century. Is what Afghanistan was, is, and always will be about. The naked ambition of would-be world rulers. As long as that ambition remains unchecked, NATO will continue to keep its forces in the region at any cost. And as Russia and China continue to exert their own influence in the region, that deployment brings us one step closer to direct military confrontation. Of Afghanistan, once again, are crushed underfoot, mere pawns in the game for world empire.
I've always wondered why the Middle East was such a prize for European countries, and it seems like everybody finds a way to hate the Middle East and Islam and Muslims, and it's like, but why? and they're backwards and they treat their women this way. That's their fucking culture. So what? If they're backwards and they do that shit, leave them alone. Everybody doesn't want your fucking democracy. So, you know what I'm saying? I just could never figure out, like, what is so important about this place in the world. And, okay, so now I see why. The island of the world, and who controls the center of Eurasia controls the island, and whoever controls the island controls the world. And it's like, that's the thing, though, because these brown motherfucking desert dwellers won't give that shit up for nothing. Yo, them Arabs is some tough motherfuckers, and they will not stop. They will not let Western cultures come in there and tarnish their traditions and in their way of life. The world is changing, yes, and shit is changing, but there are just some pockets of the world that just totally refuse to be westernized, and they're not with the shit, and they're not taking the bullshit. And it's like, since I've been a kid, like, it's always something in the fucking Middle East, and it's like, are those people really that bad, or why the fuck do you want to be over there so much? It's just like, leave them the fuck alone, let them live their life. And it's like, oh, no. Oh, you're trying to build a fucking world empire, and in order to do that, you have to control that region of the world. And all makes sense now. We gotta control Eurasia.
You're listening to the Corbett Report.
What? Did it finish that?
October 7th, 2016.
Invasion of Afghanistan.
Their most immediate and more powerful neighbors, namely Russia, Turkey, and Iran, with China
for world empire.
Oh, we did listen to the whole thing.
Listening to the Corbett Report.
He's trying so hard. He's trying so hard.
And then we get recently this information. Intelligent design? Are we hybrids?
Recently, he tried so hard.
Looked at Akhenaten.
But you're a fucking moron.
Who was a pharaoh in the 14th century.
I tried so hard.
7-year study.
So hard, you stupid
anomaly
cunt.
In the pharaoh Akhenaten. A small fragment of desiccated brain tissue of his Akhenaten's DNA suggests he had a higher cranial capacity, the need to house a larger cortex. The gene called CPXAC5, responsible for cortex growth, suggests an anomaly which is visible in the image below. And then we discover not only that, but this too. 2 microscopic samples left of Akhenaten and right the mummy of the same age. Akhenaten's bone is denser and fundamentally different to the right normal bone in another of a similar mummy. What's going on there? What are we seeing here? Take you to another property of DNA, and the reason I'm doing this is I want to show you how DNA is the key, as far as I'm concerned, to what's happening now. Russian scientists found DNA can be influenced and reprogrammed by words and frequencies. It's not just responsible for the construction of our body, but also in communication follows the same rules as language, but just requires the right frequencies to be reprogrammed. In other words, they don't have to splice out any kinds of faulty genes. They just need the right human language, frequency. Chromosomes function like a holographic computer and using endogenous DNA laser radiation are able to modulate certain frequency patterns onto laser ray and influence the DNA frequency and thus the genetic information itself. Spiritual and spiritual teachers have known our body is programmable by language, words and thought. Now it's been scientifically explained, and there's another level to this that I will go into. It follows regular grammar and set rules. Human language will interact with living DNA substance, and they react to laser modulated rays to radio waves if the proper frequencies are used. So again, this is why affirmations and hypnosis can have such a powerful effect on human bodies, and why we are so influenced by what is said to us, both positive and negative. You may be aware of Dr. Bruce Lipton. I met this wonderful gentleman in Montreal, lots of years ago now. But what was fascinating was something also very important. We are not just DNA determined. Human experience and attitude also alters DNA expression. So it's all about, on this level, about belief. Genetic control reveals that the environmental information alters the readout of the genes without changing the underlying DNA sequence code. And from a single gene, epigenetic regulation can provide for 30,000 different variations of expression. So whatever you're believing or your reality is will actually alter the actual variations of the expression of how you behave. And here was a very interesting fact. Words can change cactus DNA. And this is quite some time ago now. This gentleman found that the secret of improved plant breeding actually is love. This. In experiments to make a spineless cacti, he told the plants, "You don't need your protective thorns, I will protect you." And gradually the useful plant emerged was a thornless variety. What it's saying is how powerful words and frequencies are. And this is, I'm leading into understanding frequency and all the other things that are going on with those that are having contact. The most important part of DNA that I want to really state is this. Three-dimensional DNA produces magnetized wormholes to transmit information.
What the fuck are you talking about,
Lee? Time to our consciousness. A logical internet, a holographic computer. This is what they have discovered, that living chromosomes function like this computer, using endogenous DNA laser radiation, and can modulate certain frequency patterns onto a laser ray and influence the DNA frequency, and thus the genetic code. They cause disturbing patterns in a vacuum, producing magnetized wormholes, microscopic equivalents of the so-called Einstein-Rosen bridges in the vicinity of black holes.
It's all metaphysics, and motherfucking scientists just try to explain that shit. All you gotta do is live it. You don't really have to explain it.
It took about 20 years before science owned what I was talking about. If you understand epigenetics, you don't need the pharmaceutical industry. That's not in the interest of one of the biggest industries on this planet to say you can heal yourself without drugs. I go, absolutely. Look, I can feed you with an idea that this pill that we just got from the pharmaceutical company, it's the greatest, best thing for your issue. And I give you this pill and you get better. And then later you find out it was a sugar pill, and everybody goes, yeah, that's called the placebo effect. And I go, what does it really mean? I said, you didn't get healed by the pill, you got healed by the belief in the pill. At least 1/3, minimum of 1/3 of all medical intervention is, it's the placebo effect where the healing comes from. Everybody goes, yeah, I know about the placebo. I go, yeah, but that's a result of positive thinking. What about negative thinking? And this is what we don't talk about, but the reality is it's equally powerful in regard to affecting your biology as is positive thinking, but it works in the opposite direction. A negative thought is called the nocebo effect. Can cause any disease, and you can die. If you believe you're going to die, you can die from the belief. So we really have to watch out, because as psychologists would tell us, 70% or more of our thoughts are negative and redundant, replaying the same negative thoughts. I go, if thoughts have nothing to do with it, fine. But thoughts, positive or negative, shape our biology, and all of a sudden it says, well, now it's time to wake up, because our negative thinking is manifesting a negative life experience. It took about 20 years before science owned what I was talking about and gave it the name epigenetics. That's the new science.
Okay, which is the belief that through your behavior you can kind of alter your genetics, pass those on, express it differently. I'm probably using the wrong words.
Well, pretty close right now.
People talk about it as a reality, although it's still not totally understood or totally believed.
It is now. Okay. It is a science. It's a hard science, and it's the leading edge. Now, I'll tell you where the problem comes from. Not so much the scientists, but the pharmaceutical industry. And the reason why this becomes important is because the pharmaceutical industry runs the show in medicine. And if you could put this kind of healing that I'm talking about into a capsule or tablet, they'd be talking about it right now. But this is a consciousness healing, and you can't sell it. And so what's the result? They're not interested in it. And they, through their money, which is massive, actually determine the curriculum in a medical school. One of the things they're trying to get rid of are people who respond to the placebo effect, because the placebo effect throws the data right off the chart. A simple fact is this, and people might be upset, but the drugs like Prozac in laboratory tests are no better than a sugar pill. And that's how many billions of dollars a day on this planet are spent buying Prozac. Yeah. Or statin drugs. Statin drugs help less than 3% of the people that take them. And in fact, they cause side effects that are dangerous in about 23%. So you help 3% with a drug, 23% are getting toxic from the drug. And the idea is these are drugs that, how long do you take statins? How long do you plan to live? Yeah. It's like, oh my God, that's they're drug dealers. Look, it's advertised every 10 minutes on television. There's a new drug or a drug, and it's put into their heads like, your life's not working right? This drug, look at the happy people. See, they've taken the drug and how happy they are. And people buy that story, and pharmaceutical drugs kill about 300,000 people a year. And everybody's, that's just the cost of doing medicine. And yet they have a war on drugs, which kill less than 30,000 people a year. And all of a sudden you got a war because 30,000 people died. 300,000 people died. That's business as usual.
How do we break this cycle? How do you fight these huge companies?
Basically stop buying the product. And you say, but how can I stop buying the product? And the answer is, well, empower yourself, because you're the one that controls all this. Any drug that affects you got to understand this. If I take a drug and it affects me, the reason why it affects me is because I have a natural equivalent of that drug in my own biology. You don't take a drug and it affects you, and you have a receptor for that drug, like you were having this protein receptor for a drug you may never take. That would be silly. So if you have a receptor for a drug, then by definition that receptor was already there because there was a natural drug. So in smoking pot, everyone, oh no, there's a drug called tetrahydrocannabinol, and guess what? You have receptors for it because you make your own. So the idea is this. Well, if you want to have the effect of the drug, do you have to take an outside drug? I say, no, you have to change your consciousness because you already manufacture every equivalent of a drug right now. And the idea is, if you're not manufacturing it, then it means your consciousness is not supporting you in your health. And it's really an adjustment of consciousness, not an adjustment of your biology.
I built a van. It would do more than haul.
If I built a van, it would carry my entire business.
I think it available in dozens. I've got thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger with active brake assist.
If I built a van,
the British scientists discovered that we have a second brain. Human is a very important bio battery that can be charged, can store and get energy. Or some people depending on coffee, depending on the smoke, to stimulate the body. We fool the body to give us energy. People are success because they know how to focus and concentrate their energy. When people are not success, the mind go one way, the eye go one way, the heart go one way. So energy very scattered and you lose energy.
You're 73 years old. You don't get sick, do you?
No, a long time. Qi is the energy. In Chinese we call Qi. In India we call Prana. In many systems they have different names for that.
What do the West call it? What do the Americans call it?
We call energy.
Energy.
Or we call electromagnetic power. And we are electrical man. We have electricity inside us. We need that electricity to run our life. We have bioelectromagnetic energy, but we never focus it. The first step, you focus. And now when you focus, you have a lot of energy immediately. So the Tao discovered that for 1,000 years, at least written down and tagged on the wall, 2,500 years, that abdominal area, where you can store energy.
Abdominal area?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you cannot store energy in the brain. You cannot store energy in the heart. Human is a very important bio battery that can be charged, can store and get energy. And that is abdominal. So the Westerner discovered that intestinal here, the structure of intestinal is like a battery, negative, positive. It can charge energy. They discovered that, but they never go on what to do with it. Scientists, they discover the second brain 100 years ago. Until now, they still don't know what to do. But now they just, after 100 years, they have a breakthrough. Now they discover that we have another organs in there.
So, your student loans are holding you back from buying a house?
Abdominal. They call them mesentery. This organ actually controls all the digestion, absorption, and elimination. So they have one like conductor. It's a big organ, cover the spleen, the stomach, the pancreas, the liver, the small intestine, the large intestine. They cover them and they dilate them. Now I understand that, oh, this is what the Tao always talk about this. The center of these new organs is in the center of the navel, right here, right in here.
Okay.
Actually about this big, big organ. But they are on the back, cover all the digestion. Because you see, digestion you have liver, gallbladder, stomach, pancreas, spleen also part of the Tao belief that. And this big, and including the stomach, they are doing so many jobs in digestion. And everybody doing different jobs. Okay. If you don't have a director, control them like the brain. So the British scientists discovered that we have a second brain. And this second brain, amazing. They're conducting everything. And the Tao discovered that if you keep this second brain here, warm, and this also a battery can store energy. People are draining their energy. So all what we do now, all the people now is exhausted.
Okay.
Because the battery, the bio battery run out.
Okay.
Like your mobile telephone, when your battery don't charge, no use.
Okay,
Right?
so we're not charging up our abdomen, which is where our Tao is.
Right.
Okay. And we're using our stomach really to just consume things.
Right. But now we know that this is more than just digestion. Okay. They can remember, they can store. So now the Tao talk about this one store emotional, negative and positive.
Stores emotions.
Yes. Now the West know that love in the heart, right?
Right.
And what happened to the other organ? Yes. So love, joy, happy in the heart, but also hatred, impatience, hastiness is in the heart.
Okay.
So the negative, positive, now you have to find balance. Some of them is too extreme. When too extreme, you hate people, and kill people. So now love and hate have to be find a balance. So no negative and no sin and no evil or goodness, because you have to find balance. Everything in the world have to find balance.
Okay. So the heart has those emotions.
Yeah, and the liver have angry, jealousy, envy, frustration. It's a lot of emotional.
How do we know that's in the liver? How do we know that?
Because the Tao already taught this for 1,000 years.
So we
but
trust
if
them?
we know
Yeah.
the heart store love, and why not the other organs?
I don't know. We always say heart. I don't know. I don't know how we know. Just like you say, trust your gut.
Yes.
I don't know where that came from. I guess because we
But
feel
this
it.
is important.
Yeah.
When people shout at you, boom, you feel like something hitting you.
In your stomach,
because the liver actually take the angry and store in here.
Okay.
So that's why the Tao say, hey, if you don't clean out this one, you cannot clean up from the brain.
Right. Okay.
The brain, people think that everything emotional is the brain. No. Negative emotional like record down in the organs, organ by organ. Like kidney, now the West discovered that also the fear in the kidney.
All right. So we have to start paying more attention to our bodies.
Yes.
And not just our biceps and our other things, like the internal parts.
Internal. My master told me, said, if you take care of your 5 major organs, the 5 major organs strong, it can take care of 1 million problems.
All right. So that's the first step, recognizing these organs are important.
Yes.
What's the next step in the Master Chia process?
For me, it's good to be just do some simple exercise in the sitting position, because when we have the fluid inside, and everything is a fluid floating. So the first step in the Tao say, hey, the first step we have the spinal cord fluid floating in the spine.
Okay.
And when we sit on the pump. So that we have the second pump and cranial pump.
Okay.
So that is the major part. Okay. So a very simple exercise, we say, moving the spinal cord fluid and the brain fluid.
Okay.
So what we do, we inhale, we go like this. We inhale, you expand your chest, you expand your stomach, and your neck go like this. Okay, your chin go back.
Oh, okay.
And now when you exhale, you curve down. So you curve everything down. Inhale. Exhale. Curve enough that you feel, because we have 2 tendons there. When you curve them, you activate the pump. Okay. So inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Smile. Breathing in golden light into your spine and your brain. And exhale. Cloudy and gray color out. But sometimes we just let go all the emotional everything down to the ground. When you do for a while, you rub your hand warm. And you cover the sacrum and your cranial. So now when you rest for a while, you can really feel that warm. Your sacrum warm and your cranial. This is the cranial pump. So we have a pump because we stand up. So the Tao said when we stand up, we lie 24-story high. When you move them, something moves. And now when you can feel them, okay, conscious feel about something moving, energy moving, we call you beginning practicing the chi.
Okay.
The energy, the chi flow.
The chi force.
So chi flow. So when you feel that warm night and you rest for a moment, you smile. And you feel your whole spine nice and warm. And you inhale, that's how the fluid go up. When you inhale, the fluid go up. When you exhale, the fluid go down. Inhale. So your sacrum and lumbar have to move. Because the Tao said we have 7 pumps. Very important because we are pumped. If we sit too long, we sit on the pump.
Okay.
And the pump don't work.
Okay.
When you don't work, what we do? We're tired, exhausted.
Okay.
And we're depending on coffee, or some people depending on the smoke to stimulate the body, to give up. We fool the body to give us energy.
Okay. Okay.
That's our key.
Okay.
And now this is the flow. Now we have 2/3 of the fluid is in here.
2/3 of the fluid. So we started with the spinal
The
fluid.
spinal fluid.
Then that breathing technique was to get the spinal fluid going. Okay. And you would do that longer normally?
We
How many
we
breaths?
rest, feel the energy flow, another 9.
9.
If
Okay.
you do 9, 9, 18, or 20, or 36, that's a good number.
Okay.
So if you do that and you rest, you feel the flow. That is how we form energy.
Okay.
You feel chi flow.
Okay. And then you warm your hands and you put it here afterwards.
Just
to
because there's
feel.
a two pump. Two
Okay.
big pumps.
Just to warm them up. Okay.
To warm them up and you feel there's something new.
Okay. And you do this sitting down, or you can do that standing up too?
Standing up is the best.
Is the best for that exercise. Okay. Okay.
The
All right.
same exercise. But the next one we divide here because this is the fluid.
Right. This is the most important part.
The most important part because 2/3 of the fluid come in here.
Okay.
Because we have all the organs. We have the liver takes so much water, blood, kidney takes so much blood, stomach, small intestine. When we eat, so much blood coming to take nutrition and everything. So much blood.
Right.
And the whole key is the sickness. The sickness comes from that when the fluid don't flow.
Okay. Okay.
And the stagnant, now every sickness comes.
Okay.
And we take so many millions of methods try to fix this organ problem.
When you walk through like a Western hospital and you see all these sick people, do you just think, man, why don't they just get breathing, get the fluid moving, and then half of them would be out of the hospital?
That's it.
All of them would be out.
Yeah, I have so many students that come to me. They're so sick. Like in France this time, they said, I came here 2 days only. They said, I feel so much better. Just by this breathing, by the fluid flow, aware of the fluid flow, and aware that Tanyan can store chi. And now they have, because they drain themselves and they don't, you keep on using your mobile telephone and you don't charge them. And it's gonna gone, okay?
Okay.
So now it's very simple. In here we said, we have lower abdominal,
yeah,
middle,
okay,
upper.
Okay.
So lower part we have sexual organ.
Okay.
And we have elimination. That is the last intestine. In here we have small intestine, the absorption and kidney. And here we have all the digestion. People don't care about that. Okay? And people so stressful. Stress, we call, now the Western, the definition is that stress is when you're in stress, we call fight and flight response. You are go to war or you're running.
Okay, fight or flight response to stress, okay.
And now when you are in the resting mode, you are in rest and digestion.
Okay.
But when you stress, digestion nearly slow down or non-digestion.
Okay.
Now, no food supply. We're gonna lose the war. So you very simple. Except you exhale, fatten down the stomach. Inhale, you push your finger out. And some people in a warmer place, they can use the mouth. And when you lie down, you rest. You see, and you feel. The qigong is this. After you exercise, you rest, you feel the energy, and you learn how to control, and you learn how to guide the energy and the fluid flow. Energy flow, wind. When wind blow, the wave go. When no wind, no wave.
Okay.
When no wave, oh my God, you in the seaside, you say, oh my God, it's so hot. And the fish and everything cannot grow also.
Okay.
No wind, no chi, nothing flow.
Everybody should do in their lifetime sometime two things. One is to consider death, to observe skulls and skeletons, and to wonder what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Never. That is a very gloomy thing for contemplation, but it's like manure. Just as manure fertilizes the plants and so on, so the contemplation of death and the acceptance of death is very highly generative of creative life. You get wonderful things out of that. And the other thing to contemplate is to follow the possibility of the idea that you are totally selfish. That you don't have a good thing to be said for you at all. You are a complete, utter rascal. Now, when you go deeply into the nature of selfishness, what do you discover? You say, I love myself, I seek my own advantage. Now, what is the self that I love? What do I want? And that becomes an increasingly ever-deepening puzzle. Now, I've often referred to this when you say to somebody else, I love you. It's always rather disconcerting to the person to whom you say that if you imply that you love them with a pure, disinterested, and holy love. They automatically suspect it as being a little bit phony. But if you say, I love you so much I could eat you, that's an expression, it's a way of saying to a person, you attract me so much that I can't help it. I'm absolutely bowled over by you, I'm gone. And people like that. Then they feel they're really being loved, that it's absolutely genuine. But now, I love you so much I could eat you. Now what the devil do I want? I certainly don't want to eat the girl in the sense of literally devouring her, because then she'd disappear. But I love myself. And what is me? In what way do I know me? Well, it suddenly occurs to me that I know me only in terms of you. And that the main task of the psychotherapist is to do what he called to integrate the evil. To, as it were, put the devil in us in its proper function. Because you see, it's always the devil, the unacknowledged one, the outcast, the scapegoat, the bastard, the bad guy, you see, the black sheep of the family. It's always from that point that generation comes. In other words, in the same way as in the drama, to have the play, it's necessary to introduce a villain. It's necessary to introduce a certain element of trouble. So, in the whole scheme of life, there has to be the shadow, because without the shadow there can't be the substance. So this is why there is a very strange association between crime and all naughty things and holiness. You see, holiness is way beyond being good. Good people aren't necessarily holy people. A holy person is one who is whole, who has, as it were, reconciled his opposites. And so there's always something slightly scary about holy people. And other people react to them in very strange ways. They can't make up their minds whether they're saints or devils. And so holy people have throughout history always created a great deal of trouble, along with their creative results. Take Jesus, for example. Trouble that Jesus created is absolutely incalculable. Think of the Crusades, the Inquisition, the heaven only knows what's gone on in the name of Jesus. Very remarkable. Freud's a big troublemaker. Jung had a tremendous humor. And he knew that nobody can be completely honest. That you will try and you'll have a great deal of success in exploring your motivations and your dark, unconscious depths. But there will be a certain point at which you will say, well, I've had enough of that. Do you see how, in a strange way, there's a certain sanity in that? When a person indulges in a certain kind of duplicity, of deception, there is something, you all laughed when I said that, there was something humorous about it. And this humor is a very funny thing. Basically, humor is an attitude of laughter about oneself. There is malicious humor, which is laughing at other people, but real deep humor is laughter at oneself. Now, why fundamentally do you laugh about yourself? What makes you laugh about yourself? Isn't it because you know that there is a big difference between what goes on the outside and what goes on the inside? Now, I passed you around a lot of embroidery to look at before we started. And I'm perfectly sure that you got the point. That there's a big difference between the front and the back. In some forms of embroidery, the back is very different from the front because people take shortcuts. In the front, everything is orderly, and it is supposed to be kind of messy on the back side. See, which side will you wear? You've got to be sure you get the front in the front and have the back in the back. The back has all the little tricks in it, all the shortcuts, all the lowdown that people don't acknowledge, see? And it's exactly the same with the way we live. You know, like sweeping the dust under the carpet in a hurry just before the guests come. I mean, we do ever so many things like that. And if you don't do it, if you don't think you do it, and you think, well, really, my embroidery is the same on both sides, see? Well, you're deceiving yourself. Because what you're doing is you're taking the shortcuts in another dimension, which you're keeping out of consciousness. Everybody takes the shortcuts. Everybody plays tricks. Everybody has in himself an element of duplicity, of deception. Because you see, from this point of view that I'm discussing, where the web is the trap, to be is to deceive. Think of camouflage, the chameleon who changes its color. Think of the butterfly pretending it has eyes. Think of the flower saying to the bee, like my honey? The bee says, wow. But then that means that the bee has to be, and it has to go on living, and all the trouble it takes to go around collecting honey and raising other bees and organizing itself and doing that dance which tells the other bees where there's more honey. There's all that stuff to do. But the flower was deceptive. Now, in the same way I've often said, life is a drama, and a drama is a deception. It's a big act. When you peel an onion and you don't really understand the nature of an onion, you might look for the pit in the center, like any ordinary fruit has. But the onion doesn't have a center. It's all skins. So when you get right down, there's nothing but a bunch of skins. You say, well, that was a kind of disappointing. Well, in rather the same way, you see, you find when you explore yourself, and your motivations, and you go through and through and you try to find out that thing which is really genuine. So you explore the onion, and you go in and in and in, and then you find, well, it's all a deception. Now then the question arises, who's deceiving who?
His name is Alan Watt.
I'm fooling me? What is fooling? Fooling is You know, getting somebody else to answer your name in the roll call. So, we're all, this is the metaphysical basis of it. This is what the Hindus mean by Maya, the world illusion. The world is playing it's there when it isn't. And it's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out of it. And it's a thorough big trap, too. But always, when you get an idea like this, or a feeling like this, follow it to its extreme. Don't back out from it. If you find you're selfish, go to the extreme of what selfishness means. Confusion largely results from not following feelings or ideas to their depth. Oh, people think they want to be immortal. They'd like to live forever. Do you really want to do that? Think about it. Really go into it, what it would be like. People say they want this, that, and the other. They want this kind of car, they want this kind of dress, or so on, and this much money, and so on. It's always a good idea to think it right through. What it would involve to be in that situation, to have those desires fulfilled. Also, when you form a relationship to another person, think it through too. You see? How inconvenient would they be? However attractive. And always turn the embroidery around and look at the underside, but don't get caught doing it. See, that's something one does on the side in secret. Because otherwise you play the game that everything is as it's supposed to be on front. But that makes you humorous, and that makes you human.
Every journey starts with a blank canvas.
Just watch me now. Just watch me. Just watch me now. Just watch me. Just watch me now. Just watch me. Just watch me now.
Now, I'm sure that most of you know the old story about the astronaut who went far out into space and was asked on his return whether he had been to heaven and seen God. And he said yes. And so they said to him, well, what about God? And he said, she is black. And although this is a very well-known and well-worn, out into space, now, I'm sure that most of you know the old story about the astronaut who went far out into space and was asked on his return whether he had been to heaven and seen God. And he said yes. And so they said to him, well, what about God? And he said, she is black. And although this is a very well-known and well-worn story, it is very profound. Because
yeah, the studio is nice.
I tell you, I knew a monk who started out in life as pretty much of an agnostic or an atheist. And then he began to read Henri Bergson, the French philosopher who proclaimed the vital force, the élan vital, and so on. And the more he read into this kind of philosophy, the more he saw that these people were really talking about God. And I've read a great deal of theological reasoning about the existence of God. And they all start out on this line.
If you are intelligent and reasonable, you cannot be the product of a mechanical and meaningless universe. Figs do not grow on thistles. Grapes do not grow on thorns. And therefore, you, as an expression of the universe, as an aperture through which the universe is observing itself, cannot be a mere fluke. Because if this world peoples, as a tree brings forth fruit, then the universe itself, the energy which underlies it, what it's all about, the ground of being, as Paul Tillich called it, must be intelligent. Now, when you come to that conclusion, you must be very careful, because you may make an unwarranted jump. Namely, the jump to the conclusion that that intelligence, that marvelous designing power which produces all this, is the biblical God. Be careful.
All right.
Because that God...
Let me get up out of here. I got some shit I need to do today. I appreciate everybody chilling in the stream, new viewers, and it's 2 a.m. 2019. This is motherfucking in the future. Living in the future. But yeah, for all my old heads who come through here, all the new guys, you know what I'm saying? Finally in the new studio, got everything up and running. And I am getting some painting done. Just been working on this smoke for a couple of days. I think I'm gonna stop on the smoke, start back and focus on the skull a little bit more, and then do one more layer on that smoke, and then this piece will be done. And be on to some new. For the 2019, I already got one show lined up, possibly two. So let's continue pushing this art, man, and getting in as many venues and exhibitions as possible, and putting this thing on the forefront. Once again, man, I appreciate y'all company, all the comments, compliments, and questions, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.